Right, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, each year an estimated 14 million people are diagnosed with cancer globally, and about 8 million people die from the disease. Those who are lucky to survive continue with the fight against cancer. Conn Bertish is an international award-winning creative director and brain cancer survivor. He is in the process of developing a cancer app called Cancer Dojo, and he now joins us from our Cape Town studios. Wow, this is so good to have you on the program, Conn. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Leanne. Thank you for having me, and I'm going to try and put on a voice
to
compete with Lee's.
Did you hear Lee? I mean, how was that voice?
I'm going to try.
Don't try.
I know, he should be a voiceover artist.
Don't even try, because listen, for what you've been through, you don't have to put on a good voice to sound impressive. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. Let's go to the beginning of your story. I would imagine finding out you have brain cancer has to be one of the most difficult things to hear and go through.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to explain when it happens, but the reality is that I think humans over time have built up such a fear of what cancer is. Just the word, even just the phrase, cancer is a weighty thing. So they've done a whole lot of studies around how even just being told, you know, with your doctor leaning across the table saying, "Look, Conn, you've got cancer." That word actually physically affects the person's biology. You actually go, oh, your immune system takes a dive. Your whole system kind of crumbles in because it's just a word, but we've built it up to such a weighty, scary thing that it actually affects you negatively just by hearing it. I mean, that's how powerful this thing is and this disease is.
Yeah, I can only imagine sitting and hearing that news. What was it? I'm so glad we got a bit of time, so I'm able to talk to you a bit. But what made you realize something was wrong? What symptoms did you have that made you question yourself?
So there were a couple of things that happened during the 2 months before diagnosis, and no one else realized it, but I felt that I was slurring my words slightly. And I actually used to do voiceovers, and one of the things that I was struggling with was when I was reading lines, I felt like I was lagging a little bit. No one else picked it up, but I felt that I was slurring slightly, and then I started tripping on things, tripping on flat ground even. Like why would you trip on the flat ground? So. And then I started getting these really searing headaches in the back of my head, back of my neck. And they only lasted for about 6 seconds, but they were like somebody jabbing a knife into the back of my head. And I would literally, tears would come to my eyes, and I'd have to hold onto the wall. And then 6 seconds later, they were gone, and I thought, oh, well, geez. So I started seeing a whole lot of different medical people who said, you know, Conn, advertising is a stressful business. And I'd been in this business for 15 years, and they said, you know, it's very stressful, Conn. You've probably got tension headaches. So they were giving me vitamin B injections in my left and then my right buttock and then my left buttock again, and it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And then it all came to a head when I was writing a note for my wife, Heidi. Somebody had called my house, and I was taking down their number because they had left a message for her, and I wrote down their name, and I wrote down the number 08345555, and then I put down the phone. I looked down, and my writing was really bad. It was like a grade 4's writing, and then I saw I had written 093 instead of 083, so I corrected the 9 to an 8, and I went. Very simple thing. I turned the 9 into an 8, and I looked again, and it was still a 9. So I thought, that's strange. So I took another piece of paper, and I wrote 8 on the piece of paper, and it was a 9. And that's when there was a shock of literally fear just shot up my spine, and I was like, oh, like something is seriously wrong. And that sent me to an oncologist. Sent me to a neurologist And we did a MRI scan, and there was a tumor on the back of my brain over here.
Yeah.
And it's about the size of a squash ball.
Wow.
And it had caused all kinds of damage and disconnection between my left and right hemispheres, as well as creating a buildup of brain fluid in my brain, because it was blocking off the main vein that spreads your brain fluid down your spinal column. So the brain fluid was building up in my brain to the point of they reckoned within 72 to 2 hours I would have blacked out, whether I was driving my car or I was surfing or I was doing something. So this first operation, this very sexy hole that I've got here, which I get a lot of comments on. I'm actually starting a trend. It's very cool. This was actually the first operation, was to relieve the pressure in my brain. So they created a hole and literally siphoned off the brain fluid which had been building up in my head, unable to kind of flow through my body. And then the second operation, so I was literally like a liquid fruit. They should pay me for saying that, because I had a little straw out of my head, literally. Well, I know I woke up after the first surgery with my brain with this tube into a little bag out of my head. It was bizarre. What do they call those things? Camel packs. It's a whole different version of the whole
different thing.
And then the second operation was at the back. Yeah. Was to remove as much of the tumor as they could get out. And I was lucky enough that they could actually get in there because it was on the exterior part of my brain. So they could get as much of it as they could.
Well, I mean, here you are talking to us about this, and then you get the title of being a cancer survivor. But my goodness, I mean, what you've been through to get to this point is amazing. So I want to talk to you now about this Cancer Dojo app. What is this? What is it all about? What does it entail?
Cool. So Leanne, what was very interesting was before I went in for my surgeries, I'm a creative person. This is what I've been doing for the last 15 years, is solving problems using creativity and a playful way. The best way to solve things creatively is to actually play with them, because out of play you release baggage, and you are. It's a non-threatening space, and that's where the best ideas come from. Yeah. So when I was faced with a form, I called it the most terrifying form, because it really was. Before I went in for these brain surgeries, I had to sign this form saying, well, they're going in, they are operating in my brain, and I might lose some things, like some of my senses. On the form, it said senses. Things like blindness, speech, balance, all of these things. Like they may get the tumor, as much of the tumor out, but I also might lose these very things that I used.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't want to have a successful surgery and then come out blind. So I was quite freaked out about that before I went in for the operations. So I decided, okay, I'm going to prepare my brain for what's going to happen. And I believe in the mind-body connection, and how science and technology have now got to a point where they're proving a lot of Eastern cultural practices like yoga, meditation, qigong, how these things, mindfulness, how they have a fundamental effect on the human biology, how your brain affects how your body behaves. So I started imagining my brain as this bouncy brain. I called it like creativity in physical form. No matter what they took out of my brain, it would just bounce back. I even had a sound for it. That was it. And it seemed quite crazy at the time, and I started doing sketches, preparing my brain for these actions that were going to happen.
Yeah.
And I remember even being wheeled into the surgery, and I was lying there in my sexy green outfit with the back, the back that's open. And I was going guang, 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 imagining my brain as this flexible thing. And I know that the interns who were pushing me in probably thought I was already lost. They were like, this guy's already gone. But what that started for me was, and then I had a successful surgeries, but what it started for me was a diet of visual storytelling that enabled me to connect with different parts of my body during my treatment and augment the treatments that I was going through. And I was tapping into the science of psychoneuroimmunology, which is the science behind how your mind affects how your body behaves.
Indeed.
It's the reason, it's the science behind what makes the placebo effect actually work.
Yeah.
That is what it is.
Okay.
So what I'm building is,
Conn, we run out of time. We could listen to you. I think what's going to have to happen is we're going to have to bring you back to tell us about the app, because we haven't even got the app, but the program has come to an end. I can see the motivational speaking side there. I can. You've given it to us. But listen, to find more information, I believe you've got a website, www.cancerdojo.org.
I do.
Okay, so that's where we go. We find out the app. Is it out? Is it being released? We're still waiting for it? In one word.
So I'm building the app. I'm building the app with these tools so that people can visualize themselves. Okay. And that's the insight into it. It's at cancerdojo.org. Yeah.
Brilliant. All the information there. Conn, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you. I wish we could continue, but we've run out of time. We've got to say goodbye. Conn Bertish talking about the survival with brain cancer and this Cancer Dojo app. Go to the website cancerdojo.org. You can also follow him on Twitter. Have a lovely day.